Recording.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, people on YouTube, and welcome back to William in Japan. First of all, I must apologize for my 1.5-month hiatus. In the past couple of months, I was busy, life was hard, but today, here it is, the 1-year review of the Supersport 950S. Stay tuned.
Recording.
Alrighty guys, before we dive in, I would like to give you an update on what I didn't like about the Supersport 950S. Back, I think 6 months ago, I did make a video about the top 3 things that I don't like about this bike. And frankly speaking, that has not changed. So, just a review. First, the mirrors shake a lot. 2, the fuel tank range isn't great. And 3, there's tons of heat from the exhaust pipes coiled right under your bum. So pretty typical stuff for a Ducati bike, I might say. But in the end of the day, this is such a great bike. That's the only things that really found annoying after riding and living with this bike in the past year. Alright then, so living with it, you might be doing some commuting. So how is it if you want to commute on the Ducati Supersport 950S? Well, we are on my typical commuting route. And in this kind of traffic, as long as we are pulling away, the heat, the engine, everything feels fine. However, if you are stuck in rush hour in the morning or in the evening, it turns into kind of a torture session, if I can put it mildly, when you want to commute on a bike like this. Ergos wise, nothing wrong. It has heightened clip-ons, so it is not as crouched down as some other more committed bikes. The seat is comfy. So after sitting on for an hour or 2, or even 3 I may say, there's not much pressure on your bottom side, and you won't feel a lot of pain. Foot pegs are relatively low as well, so there aren't a lot of pain in your hips. So, ergo-wise, no problem at all. But the problem with this bike is, as I mentioned earlier, is the heat. When you get stuck in stop-and-go traffic like this, while we pull to a stop, the engine temperature rises pretty quick. 9 is 92 degrees, 93 already actually. The water temperature really rises up very quickly. And when you are in stop-and-go traffic, 102, 101 degrees is really normal. And since you have an exhaust head pipe coiled right between your legs, the heat dissipates all over your thighs. So if you don't have a heat guard placed between your legs or inside your trousers, riding jeans, the heat will, in the end of the day, give you a mild burn on the worst cases. And the second is actually another pretty typical Ducati thing. When you're commuting with this bike, it does not like to be ridden slowly. I am in sport mode right now, so the throttle is at its more aggressive settings. Of course, there will be a bit of effect on the grabby throttle. Not grabby, but when you're in low RPMs, it shakes a lot, basically, on acceleration and deceleration. Deceleration-wise, I like engine braking, so that's the reason, actually, why I set my throttle map to sport mode. But when you're going very slowly around 3,000 to 4,000 RPMs on second gear, there's kind of a back and forth shake that comes from the engine, so you have to throttle the clutch to smooth it out. And if you get stuck in traffic over 30 minutes, it becomes kind of a annoyance. I won't say it's a pain because it's livable. The clutch is nice and light with this oil reservoir, but it is just annoyance when you're stuck in traffic. But hey, this bike is not meant to be used as a commuter. So just for your reference, I guess, going through traffic like this, slipping in and out of traffic lanes, it's not hard. The bike is light when it's on the move. Wet weight is over 200 kilograms, yes, but it's balanced pretty well. The frame feels great since I don't push the bike a lot. It may differ from the rider, of course, but for my liking, I'm pretty happy with it. So commuting on this bike, other than the heat and this, as you can see right now, this judder, this on and off throttle, other than that, it's livable. And I have been commuting from time to time on this bike as well. Of course, my main commuter is definitely the CB250R, but from time to time, when I like to take this bike out for a spin, it can get the job done.
Recording.
So what about faster roads? Well, it's a Ducati. I can end it there, right? Alright, jokes aside, the Ducati Supersports, of course, can handle faster roads. We are actually on the Metropolitan Expressway, C2, if you're interested. And we are doing around 90 kilometers to 100 kilometers right now. Well, the frame is sturdy. I have a windscreen that I can adjust to my liking, which is on the tall position right now. And yeah, I frankly speaking, there's not much to say. This bike handles fast roads perfectly. If you have these high-speed sweeping bends, the all-in suspension, the nice tubular frame, for a rider like me, is perfectly acceptable. I feel sturdy, I feel confident, and I'm not really anxious if I might lose control, anything sort of that. And especially this bike comes with the Pirelli Rosso 3 tires. They are one of the sportier street tires, and in my opinion, is perfect of what I use this bike for. So, high-speed roads, no problem at all.
Recording.
And can the Ducati Supersport do highway speeds? And that answer is, of course, again, yes, it's a Ducati. Of course it can do highway speeds. But it is not perfect. Well, first of all, before I get into the specifics, let me drop my windscreen to the low position. It is 36 degrees today. 37 right now. And I need more airflow to cool myself down. So now we are doing around 110 kilometers, which is pretty typical for a Japanese highway speed. We are catching up to traffic up front, so going to slow down maybe to 100 kilometers. And why I said this bike isn't perfect for the highway? Oh, it's really easy. It missed out on cruise control. The same engine on the Multistrada V2 had it. They were launched almost on the same timing, but they decided not to include cruise control on this bike. Maybe it's because they want to keep this bike as a road sports bike instead of a purebred sports tourer. But in the end of the day, you have electronic ride-by-wire throttle over here. You have the system in the Multistrada V2. Why not just give it a cruise control? It can be an option. It can be $500, $1,000, but people will want it, for sure. People who want a sporty ride but they can let their wrist rest a little bit on these kind of highways, they will definitely want to have cruise control. I, myself, is not a huge advocate for cruise control, so I bought this bike without thinking about it. But a lot of people, especially down in the comments of the other videos I posted, they did mention they wanted cruise control, and it was kind of a missed opportunity by Ducati. It should have, it could have, but it didn't have cruise control. So back to the topic of highway speeds. Since we're in the traffic, I can't really do an overtake right now, but I'm going to brake into the left lane right before that truck and give you guys a little idea of pulling this bike in 6th gear from 90 kilometers an hour. Yes, 6th gear. This bike, the biggest point that I love about this engine is actually about the big torque curve. Okay, so I'm going to accelerate to 100 kilometers an hour. Okay, we're at 100. I'm going to gun it. And that's 120. 6th gear, guys. The torque curve on this bike is so flat, so rich, that you can accelerate anywhere from 3,000 RPM to 8,000 RPM. After 8,000, it kind of, not a lot, kind of dies out a bit. But from 3,000 to 8,000, which, frankly speaking, when you're riding on the road, that's where your RPM usually will be. And the torque between that region is just plentiful, is fat torque curve, and it feels nice, and you have power on tap always. So, Ducati Supersport on the freeway, I'll give it, I guess, 95 out of 100. Only the 5 points off for myself is because of cruise control. So how does these Ducati Supersport do on these kind of small back roads with sweeping turns and not much of visibility? Frankly speaking, I think this is its natural habitat. It has a torqueful engine, very good brakes. Yes, they aren't top of the line Brembo M50 Stylemas. It's the M4 calipers, but it suits what it is meant to do. These fast-flowing back roads gives the Supersport a perfect habitat for it to stretch its legs, use its torque to accelerate out of blind corners when you see the road is clear, and brake pretty hard. And it's actually fun to do that with these Brembos. And the Olin suspension, the tubular steel frame, gives the support and gives the sturdiness just necessary. Not too hard, not too soft for riding done like this. Like here, we have a nice bend, and that's a hard break, and then we gun it. Here we go. And again, we can't ride really fast on these kind of roads. Oh, that's a nice hop. But it's fun, guys. And isn't that just riding is about? Having fun on the road, yet not doing silly speeds and getting yourself killed. So on these back roads, the Ducati Supersport is, in my opinion, one of the best bikes to have. If you get a Panigale V2, it may be a bit too stiff, a bit more too aggressive to feel comfortable. If you get a, let's say, a CB650R, it's pretty similar to this bike, but in my opinion, it lacks the torque and lacks the suspension, also lacks the brakes, have the performance, that the Supersport brings. In fact, looking across the bikes that are still available today, I don't see a bike that actually is a direct competitor. The Ninja 1000 SX is more on the touring side and even more comfortable with an even higher bar and huge windscreen. So it's way more relaxing. It's like you're riding a, let's say a naked bike. Definitely not as comfortable as an adventure bike, but it's definitely more closer to a naked. Thank you, sir. And let's say another similar one. The RS660. That is actually the most closest rival that I can think of right now. However, because it is cheaper, it again does not have the torque since it is a 660cc bike. It does not have the Öhlins forks and shock. It has pretty decent brakes though. But in the end, it has a more revvy engine. I did consider buying the RS660 when I'm buying this bike, and that feels a bit too sporty for me. Yes, it has torque, but it does not have this kind of thick, all the power anytime feel that this Tesla Strada 11 degree engine provides. And for banging through gears in these kind of roads, you can forget about all of those bad stuff and enjoy. Is he looking for speeding? Anyways, you can forget about the heat. You can forget about these shaking mirrors. You can forget about cruise control. When you are riding on these kind of road at this kind of speed, this bike is just perfect. And for those who are looking for not a commuter bike, it is definitely not suited for a commuter. It can do it, but it's not great. And B, you are not looking for a race bike or a track bike. You are looking for a weekend twisty. Twisty Hunter, I guess? A bike you can take out on the weekend. Take a blast on the twisty roads and come home around 3 to 4 hours. But this is the bike to get. If you are looking for a tourer, go get the Ninja 1000 XX. If you're looking for a more track-focused bike, get the Panigale V2. It is a way better bike for its use. Alright. And then, my final thoughts.
Recording.
Alrighty guys, as we approach the final destination of our ride today, here are my final thoughts of the Ducati Supersport after living with it, riding it for the past year. It's a great bike. What else should I say? I love it. The engine is beautiful. It's torqueful. The sound of the exhaust pipe is mind-boggling, actually. Like, how could they pass regulations with this kind of sound? Mind-boggling, really. And then, what else do I like about the bike? Is its looks. Let me show you in just a bit. Let's do a quick U-turn. after the facelift, well, I say not a facelift, but a huge overhaul back in 2021, this bike inherited looks from the Panigale family. It got this, it's not the new, but the same beautiful white, silk white colorway. And just look at it. It's a beautiful bike. It rides great and it sounds great. What else do you want from a bike like this? Yes, it's expensive. Yeah, it has some annoying parts as I mentioned. But in my honest opinion, it is a right purchase. And before we go, one practical thing. Let's see our average fuel consumption. Okay, not sure if it's showing up on the video. It's 21.8 kilometers per liter. And that's about 90% highway and 10% back roads and in-city routes. Righty guys, this has been my owner's review of my 1-year anniversary Supersport 950S. Click on the left top corner for the latest video. Click on the left bottom corner for the top 3 things I didn't like about this bike. And click on the right to subscribe if you want more content just like this. This has been William. Thanks for joining me and see you next time. Bye bye.